I think Paris might have been rebuilt 2 times or 3 times. I'm not exactly sure how many times it was rebuilt, but I know in one of those times, like I said, I was quite wealthy and quite rich, owning manufacturing and stuff like that, and had quite a few people working for me. So we were rebuilding the city, and when we were rebuilding the city, I did quite a few improvements and changes to the whole city, and I did like 4 or 5 other things, like probably Warsaw and maybe a couple other cities. There's quite a few cities, and it's kind of why I kind of got into the whole city building whole mentality because you know, I, like I said, I had employees, and these people they had worked for me, and they had worked hard, and they had researched, and they had I had climbed in wealth, and they had climbed in statue or whatever, and so we were together in this. I was basically Lucifer Star, inventor and owner of a great big huge company and companies, a conglomerate, and they were my people, my employees, my employees of Renault, my employees of different companies. And, it kind of led into when I was building the whole, like, when I was building Japan or China, and we were doing that medical center with the water purification system, and they were doing the research on the water purification system and also like the sewage and stuff. I forget how much that was. That was like a $7,000 project. Back in the day, I used to get a lot for my money. Like $7,000 went a long, long, long ways. Like that would basically build a whole city. Of course, what I get for a city for $7,000, and what other people get for $7,000 are different things because I had all this momentum with me. Building ships, building helping people. So like if I ran out of money or when I started to run out of money, um, people would work for free, or people would be like, "Well, it's our city, so we're gonna do it. We'll do it anyway." So a lot of people, they worked a little harder. They did a little extra work, and so I just paid for the team that was engineering and drafting the whole city. Like I said, we build models and stuff like that, and other things like drafted out on a drafting table. Like I invented the whole idea of drafting and all that stuff. So anyway, so we drafted out all these cities, and we figured out, it's kind of like gets into the whole how cities are done now, where there's disaster plans and stuff like that. I was kind of like getting that going, I guess. But it was more about it just because I had so many employees, and like I say, like there was hostage situations where like one of my people would be being held hostage, and they'd be asking for a ransom, whatever, and I'd pay the ransom and just be like, well, I'll get it back later on, and or eventually they'll spend it or something, and it'll come back to me somehow. Anyway, a lot of people, I would pay the ransom on things and or try and get them out if I could. Send a team basically to go do that. We had a team for doing just that too, for hostage situations. And this was back in like 1800s or something like that when people were taking people for hostage situations and stuff, and it also led to like my anti-hostage team for like my aircraft and stuff like that when they would take one of my aircraft hostage and land and then people would go up in there and get the hostages back. I built a training facility for doing just that because it happened like once or twice, so I knew that it was going to be a continued problem, and so spending the extra money for like a hostage simulator and getting an aircraft somewhere seemed like a worth it kind of situation because I think we had gone through 3 hostage situations, and back during the war, they would shoot down passenger aircraft. It's only like 40 or 50 people or so, or 30 people, but I mean, still, people are people. So we still had these teams that would go in there, or fly escort to the passenger aircraft. So anyway, though, so I was doing all this stuff, investing because I invested in the factories, and these people like 7,000 or 15,000 people work at my factories. So like I say, the whole thing about Carnegie and all this other stuff, it's kind of a little bit ridiculous because like it was me, it was Lucifer White Star Lines, and me being safety conscious with caring about my employees, and also doing like work day schedules and all that other stuff, and like plan breaks and stuff like that, And then after a certain point, it was just my team doing the stuff, and where I do less stuff. Anyway, though, so like when Hitler or whoever attacked Paris, he would come up against some really, really, really stiff resistance. So if he ever tried to attack it militarily wise. So anyway, so in the end, during the war, like I say, my people were laughing and like saying, "Oh, it's not so bad." It would have been worse. Would have been a lot worse. A lot of people were trying to cheer me up and everything, and I was almost like, "Stop trying to cheer me up," because like it was bad. We had lost like 3,000 people or something like that. I mean, maybe we saved most of the city, but still. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my people were there, and it was to fate, as they say. It was out of my hands. I had done my part as far as spending the money and being the leader that I was, and now it was up to my people. Like I said, my people understood the situation better than I did, and smuggled and dealt with me. It's like one of those things where your ship is sinking, and you're basically like, well, it's up to the safety procedures. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. And I guess it worked because we got past it, we got through it. So. Yeah, but I know. I mean, there was always something going on. Something was always bad. It seemed like something was always happening. Um, but my British pilots and everything did their job, and I had done mine. So you can only lead people so far, and pay so much money, and then it's up to fate. I know Paris though had hidden gun safes though, quite a few, and quite a few different apartments. Like, what if we can't get to this apartment? What if they can't get to this apartment? Where else can they get their weapons? So we had like 4 or 5 or 6 gun caches that were hidden away where no one could see them, and also gun caches that would be left out, so they would be like, oh well, there are weapons. Because if you have no weapons, then that sends up red flags, as they say. Like I say, I mean, the whole thing of sending up red flags and like what is normal, what is not, and all that. I had a team doing it all and figuring it all out, and we were going through it. So anyway, now it's history. But like I say, when they say stiff resistance, well, that's probably why. Probably because we had escape routes, we had escape roads, and stuff like that. We were really, really, really well. We'd been through a lot. Like I say, Europe and me, we were like, I was for a while there with Germany. I was inseparable from them. Like, you couldn't tell us apart practically, because like it was me and my people. I was just the investor and the leader, and they had worked hard, and I was doing my part and saying that I really cared. Anyway, and some of my companies are still around. Like I say, I couldn't believe that all the companies were gone. I mean, it was too much. Like, that would be heartbreaking for one thing. I really loved those people and really cared for them. So, and I had spent quite a bit of money to keep them safe. Basically shoving money into flight, shoving money into the cities themselves, and also keeping people warm, like in case of winter and snow and all that, and paying for people to plow the roads and stuff. But that's what taxes are for. Anyway, though, yeah, though, but I'm the leader of, or was the leader of Germany, so back then. So I'm the Lord Protector. I'm very proud of it. Like I say, White Star Lines, everything else like that was all me. So